Hey everyone, it's Nick with the Whip Shop, and in my hands right now I have a 24 plat nylon snake whip that I finished yesterday. In this video, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the different plaiting techniques that you can use with this Whipmaker's cord. I lost my backlight there, which is my computer monitor. There we go. If you've never plaited Whipmaker's cord before, you will notice more than likely that this stuff is a little bit slippery. And the reason that it's slippery is because it's so much thinner and it's so much lighter than conventional 550 parachute cord. But don't let that scare you. This simply means that we just have to pay a little bit more attention as to where those strands are laying and be a little more delicate when we pull those strands into place. The same goes for dropping strands of an overlay that are made with Whipmaker's cord. When we drop strands, we just have to kind of think about that slippery nature of this material, and there are easy ways to get around problems that can arise, such as having one strand that we drop pull and that angle changes and it causes a noticeable drop point in the whip. So in this video, I want to just kind of work my way through some pointers that really helped me, and I'm confident that it will help you as well. If you would like to purchase some Whipmaker's cord, you can do so through the paracordstore.com. There's a link in the description. Now, I know I've been doing a lot of shorter videos on the channel lately, and a lot of you enjoy those 2, 3, and 3.5 hour full-length tutorials on how to build a whip. Those videos are coming soon. I have some builds that are currently in the process of being filmed, so in the next few weeks you will be seeing those full-length tutorials return to the channel. But for now, we're going to do some shorter stuff, some little tips and pointers here and there. Glad you guys are watching. I appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Nick Schrader, and this is a place where I make tutorials all about making whips and how I do so, as well as covering whip-related events and some interviews here and there. If that's something you guys might enjoy, please do hit the subscribe button. It means a lot to me. Sit back, relax, grab some parachute cord, and I hope you enjoy the video. So here we have a 24 plat Whipmaker's cord overlay going on a 7-foot snake whip. And I just kind of want to work my way through this with you guys and just point out some things that I have found to work very well for working with such a high plat count. Even though 24 strands technically doesn't seem like a lot more than 16, it really is. If you're not used to plaiting this many strands, it can become daunting. It can become very difficult if you don't pay attention to which strand you're pulling. So currently on the right I have 11 strands. I dropped one, you can see where I dropped it, several inches up. Still on the left I have 12 strands here, and this is the strand that we're getting ready to drop. And one of the things that I really like to do when I have a strand that I'm going to be dropping momentarily is I like to just tie it in a knot. And this is especially relevant for a whip that has Whipmaker's cord, or maybe you're using 275 cord, just a whip with an insanely high plat count. It can become very difficult to distinguish in the heat of the moment while you're plaiting which strand that is. So this is something I like to do, just tie a little knot in it, and it helps me remember that, hey Nick, this is the strand that you're going to be dropping pretty soon. Let's not let it get too far up in the sequence. In addition to that, I want to just talk about identifying your sequence. So with a 24 plat whip, I like to start under 6/6 on the left and right. Currently we're in an imbalanced plat. As I mentioned, we have 12 strands over here and 11 over here. So the sequence is still under 6/6 on the left, but on the right hand side it is under 6/5 because there's 11 strands here. So let's go ahead and plat through this with you guys. Here's our next strand around the back, and it's hard to just pinpoint with your eyes. For me anyway, it's hard for me to just look at it and say, okay, there's 6 strands. So what I like to do is, if I'm going to be plaiting a strand from the right hand side, I'll go around the back, kind of hold it with my finger right here, and in the meantime, or hold it with the other finger like that, so it's armed and ready to go. What I'll do is I'll fan out 4 strands. See that? There's 4 strands there. It's easy to count 4 strands. And then in addition to that, I'll just go, okay, there's 4. Let me count 2 more. And there we have 6 strands. 6 under and 6 over, like that. Or I should say under 6/6. That strand is in place. Next, I'm going to grab this strand from the upper left-hand side around the back, kind of holding it with my index finger there so it's ready to go. And I'm counting out the same thing. Okay, let me establish 4 strands. There's 4, I need 1 more. There's 5. So process of elimination, if I know I have 5 here underneath, I must have 6 above that. Plait the strand like that. And here's the strand that we're going to be dropping pretty soon. It's this one right here. So you can see there's only 2 strands on top of that. Am I in focus? There we go. That's better. I only have 2 strands that have been plaited over that. So I want to go ahead and let a few more strands build up before I plait this. Whipmaker's cord has a tendency to be a lot more slippery than normal 550 parachute cord just because it's so much thinner. So the more strands that we're able to stack onto that strand we're going to be dropping, the better. It holds it in place. So let's go ahead and keep plaiting. There's 4 strands, 5, 6. We're still under 6 over 6 on the left. Back to our right hand side. Let me establish there's 4 strands, 5. And this is more time consuming, but it ensures that you are not accidentally plaiting over one too many strands or not enough strands. And it's something that I like to go by. It's one of the reasons that 24 plait whips take me a while longer than a 16 plait whip, because with a 16 plait whip I can just eyeball it. I can definitely see what's under 4 over 4. It's very easy. Those strands are wide. These strands, not so much. So there we go. 4 strands, 5, 6, under 6 over 6 on the left. Let's see what we're working with here as far as how many strands we have on top of that one we're going to be dropping. So I got 3 strands below it, so I'm going to add 1 more from around the back, from the left side. 4, 5, plait. And now let's go ahead and drop the strand. I'm going to do this on camera for you guys. Move things up a little bit. So here's the strand that we're going to be dropping. Because of the natural kind of more slippery nature of this stuff, what I like to do is find that strand I'm going to be dropping, this one, and every strand below it, I like to just go ahead and initially give it a little tug from the left side and on the right side. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, there, and the bottom one. So what that's doing is it's adding pressure to the strand before we even plait it. At this point, I'm going to drop the strand. So all the strands that are below that one to the south of the strand we're dropping, I'm going to lift them up, give it one last pull, and swing it to the middle, being careful not to crease that strand. Just gently easing it to the middle like that. And I'm not pulling it yet. If I were to pull this strand right now, you would see that happen. See that, what's going on there? That angle's way too sharp, and I did that so you guys could see that. So I'll just go ahead and straighten things back up again, go through my little pulling here. So I will, before I actually cut a dropped strand with Whipmaker's cord, I will establish quite a few plaited strands on top of it so that there's sufficient pressure pushing down on it so that when we're about down to here, I can take that strand that I dropped and pull it, and it will tighten it up at the same angle that it left off because all these strands are giving it so much pressure. As I mentioned, if I do it now, that angle is going to slip and it's going to be a very easy place to see where I dropped that strand. And I want it to mesh together very nicely and be as seamless as possible. So let's go ahead and do that again. Here's our strand that I'm dropping. 1 more pull. Lift those strands below it and just kind of easily pushing it to the middle like this, and that's where it's going to be for a while. Now I have 11 strands on the left and on the right, so I'm going under 6 over 5 on both sides. So there we go. Let's establish what 4 is. There's 4. I need 1 more, 5 strands, under 6 over 5. Same with the right hand side. 4 strands is there. There's 1 more for 5. And I know this process seems so time consuming. And don't get me wrong, it is. This is a 24 plat whip. This is nothing that you can knock out in, 4 or 5 hours. And for me anyway, it takes a while. 4, 5, like that. 4, 5, under 6/5 on the left and the right side. And we'll keep on plaiting. 4, 5. You'll get a lot quicker as you go determining the strands. I like to just use 4 because it's so easy to know. It's easy to recognize. You could do 3 if you wanted. All right, there's 3 strands there, 4, 5. But I find that 4 is a nice vantage point, if you will. And as you can see, this is the strand we dropped. Even if it kind of goes to the side a little bit and kind of maybe goes over there, I do want to try to keep it in the middle as much as I can, but if it becomes lost in the rest of the strands, I still have that little knot for reference to know that, hey, this is the strand you dropped, man. So that's 4, 5, pull. Around the back. 4, 5, pull. Tipper just tried to get into a box and smelled it and sneezed. 4, 5, pull. So I feel pretty comfortable. I should give it a couple more here. I feel pretty comfortable with the amount of strands that I have in place. 4, 5, pull. To where I can snug up that drop strand, give it a snip and a melt. There's 4, 5, under 6/5. And let's go ahead and do that. Let me get my scissors and my lighter. And we're going to go ahead and cut this strand. But first, let's go ahead and pull it. So we'll see it snug up. I believe it's this one right here. Nope, it's actually right there. So I gave it a pull. And you'll notice, excuse me, you'll notice what happened was the strand directly below it bunched up a little bit. And the way that I like to correct this is to find that strand. Where is it on the left-hand side? I give it a pull, and it will push that drop strand right back to where it needed to be. And if need be, you can kind of go down the line a little bit and snug things up and just neaten things up around that dropped point, like this. Maybe make some corrections to those angles. And then I'll come down here and give one more last little pull. I like where that's at. Maybe I'll even pull the strands directly above that strand that I dropped. And then directly below. And there it is. And I feel good about that. That looks nice. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make sure that I'm cutting the strand that I dropped, and we can reference it again by our little indicator knot that we made. And now I can grab my lighter, melt it. Always blow out your flame before you press it into the core. And that's its final resting place right there, just about off camera. Sorry about that. And there it is. And the beautiful thing about dropping strands with Whipmaker's cord is it is so thin that all you have to do is get it melted a little bit and then just press it with your thumb, or maybe a tool if your fingers are not calloused like mine. The nerves are all not dead like my fingers are. That's an exaggeration, but anyway, it lays so smoothly because it's so flat. The material is so flat to begin with. When you melt it and then you smear that material in, that nylon in, it's just a seamless, it's like a perfect ramp going from the width of that strand, and then it just fades right in, like a crossfade when you're editing video, constant power with sound, or a cross dissolve. It meshes together and it becomes part of the belly beneath. And now we're just gonna go along a little bit. 4, 5, we're still under 6/5. And if you guys would like to work more with this material, this is called Whipmaker's cord. It is a thinner more narrow type of parachute cord that I developed with the with the paracord store. The paracord-store.com. If you guys want to purchase some of this Whipmaker's cord, give them a visit. The paracord-store.com. There's a link in the description of this video. And if you really want to kick your plaiting into high drive, into overdrive, do some real detailed patterns and stuff, this Whipmaker's cord will get you where you want to go. 4, 5. So guys, I hope this video has been informative, and I hope it encourages you to get some of this stuff. And I hope you enjoy using it, because I know I have. And it is a challenge at first. And from time to time, it still is a challenge for me. But I tell you what, you may have heard me say this in my previous videos using this Whipmaker's cord. Once you finish a 6 or a 7 foot 24 plat nylon bullwhip or snake whip, when you switch back to a 16 plat bullwhip made in 550 parachute cord, it's going to feel like everything is huge. You're going to be able to see everything so much better, and you're going to be like, man, this is easy, you know. So I hope that was informative, and I hope you enjoyed it. Here's a little shot of the whip in its finished stage. This is the finished whip right here. You can order one just like it at nickswhipshop.com. Here's how it cracks. So last thing I'll mention, guys, if you want to make a 24 plat nylon whip, I have a full-length video from start to finish on how I did it. And that video is, you want to show them, it's just, there you go, good girl. That's where that video is if you want to click on it right there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.